Hi, guys, and welcome to Holistic Life with Kristen. I just went for a quick walk today and I am on my way home, and I'm going to show you guys how to make an easy and budget friendly barbacoa. You can use other beef roasts, but I recommend using the beef chuck roast. And I just got mine on sale this week at Kroger for $5.97 a pound, guys. Seriously, so budget friendly. And then this one roast will be able to make us meals throughout the week once I have this cooked up. I can make tacos, you can make soup, you can make rice bowls, so many things. It's just a quick, easy protein to throw on whatever you're eating this week. It's a really popular Mexican dish, and most people that I've talked to believe it's difficult to make, but to be honest, my version is so simple. You're just basically going to mix up all the ingredients in the blender and brown the roast on both sides, and then you're going to dump that sauce over top of the roast and you're going to let that go for an hour and a half. And so there's just a few minutes of prep time plus about a little bit of time for the Instant Pot to come to pressure. I know a lot of people like to slow cook there, so you could slow cook it if you want. But my method of choice is definitely the Instant Pot. So that is the method that I'm going to be demonstrating today. But like I said, if you don't have an Instant Pot, if you have a slow cooker, no problem. Do the exact same thing, but follow the cook time for your normal preparation in the slow cooker. So I am getting hungry. I'm going to get home and then I will show you how to make this. Okay, guys, so I have my chuck roast that I got from Kroger on sale this week for $5.97 with digital coupon. And then I'm going to mix my sauce in the bullet blender, which is going to be consisting of this beef broth, as well as a few cloves of garlic and an entire fresh lime, along with some seasonings. And we're also going to use about a half of this can of chipotles and adobo sauce. And for our spices, we're going to start with a little bit of salt and pepper. And we're just going to mix up all of these ingredients together in the bullet blender and dump it right over the roast. And besides salt and pepper, we're also going to use some oregano, as well as some cumin and ground cloves. Okay, guys, so now I'm going to go ahead and mix up my sauce that I'm going to pour over my beef. So here I have chipotles and adobo sauce. I'm going to use about half of the can in this dish. So that amounts to about 3 to 4 peppers along with the sauce that's kind of coating those. So I just put about half the can into the bullet blender. You can, of course, adjust this, but I'm going to use half the can in this recipe, and then I have another recipe that my husband just loves, and so I'm going to save that for my chicken recipe. I'm just going to stick that in the fridge while I continue on with my recipe. I'm going to put the juice of 1 lime into the bullet blender as well. If you have a very large lime, you may want to use only about half of it. This happens to be a pretty small lime, and it doesn't have that much juice, so I'm going to use the juice of the entire lime. Also, you can adjust it to taste if it's too much, but I usually put this average size lime, I'll just put the whole thing. And then I've got about 5 cloves of garlic. You can also cut this back if you don't like as much garlic. I love a lot of garlic. No need to chop the garlic up. You can just add them to the blender whole, and the blender will do the work. I have a half a teaspoon and 1 tablespoon, and we're going to use these to measure out our spices. We're going to go ahead and add in about 1 cup of beef broth, plus 1 tablespoon of ground cumin, along with about 2/3 tablespoon of dried oregano, and then about 2 teaspoons of salt. I'm using Himalayan pink salt, but you can always use whatever salt you normally would. I'm not really measuring the pepper. I imagine it's about a half of a teaspoon of ground pepper, so I'm just eyeballing it. If you're trying to measure it out, it's about a half a teaspoon. And last but not least, we're going to add just about a 1/4 teaspoon of cloves. Maybe it's just slightly less than a 1/4 teaspoon. And then we're going to go ahead and pop a lid on and blend it up until it's nice and smooth and no lumps and no bumps inside. And then we've got our beef roast and our sauce, and that is all we need. Next, I'm going to go ahead and cut the roast up into chunks. And I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to the bottom of my Instant Pot. And I'm going to turn it on saute, and I'm just going to evenly brown both sides of the meat and put a nice sear on the meat. That's all we're trying to do with this step. You very likely don't need to even take the time to do this step, but let me tell you, it will give your meat such a nice flavor. It's only a couple of extra minutes to do this, and so I find it to be incredibly worthwhile. Once our roast is seared, we're just going to dump that sauce right over the roast, and then we're going to go ahead and pop a lid on the Instant Pot, and then we will turn it on to the pressure cook mode or the manual mode if you have the other type of Instant Pot, and we're going to adjust the time to 1 hour and 30 minutes. And this is what it looks like when it's all done cooking. It is so soft and tender and fall apart. Delicious beef barbacoa. Because there's so much liquid in the Instant Pot, I'm just going to remove the beef from there and put it in a bowl so that I can shred it up real quick, just like this. But do not throw away that delicious broth that's in the Instant Pot, because we are going to add that back into our barbacoa. That's going to keep it nice and moist and give it that delicious flavor that you normally get whenever you, like, if you buy this at Chipotle or another Mexican restaurant. You're just going to dump as much of that liquid back into the beef to kind of hydrate it and to give it lots of delicious flavor for your tacos or whatever you're making. So just save as much of it as you want. This is probably about the way that I like it. I don't like it to be drowning in the liquid, but I like it to be pretty liquidy. I like plenty of liquid in there. It gives it lots of nice flavor. And I just made some corn and bell peppers along with a salad and some baked potatoes to serve mine today. Nice and quick and easy. It's going to be a loaded baked potato with a salad. I had the absolute best Kroger sales haul this week. Besides my $5.97 per pound on the chuck roast, I also got all this other meat, including the chicken, and I got buy one, get one free on the chicken breast too. So, of course, getting it while the getting's good and then stocking up your freezer is the best way to make budget meals and not have to necessarily worry about prices week after week. Stock up when you find it on sale, and then you will be good to go. As you can see, I cannot believe the amount of good deals that I got this week. It's phenomenal. I mean, my entire freezer is stuffed full. So I'm going to have probably about, I would say, at least a month or so of meals out of this, maybe even 2 months. In terms of watching my weight, barbacoa is delicious, but it is something that I do have to limit the quantity that I eat. And so I usually choose to bulk up my meals using 0-point foods such as the potatoes and the salad. And this allows me to get full and still have portion control on the barbacoa. Okay guys, enjoy.